Welcome to Midlife Unlimited, the podcast for women who want more. I'm your host, Kate Porter, the Midlife Metamorphosis coach, and I'm delighted to be joined by my episode 81. How did that happen, guest? The fabulous Kim Stokes, to give a taste of our audio episode that's available now, wherever you get your podcasts, How to Be Kind to Yourself. So, welcome, Kim. It is fabulous to see you again. How are you?
You, Kate. Yes, fabulous to see you again as well. I am really well, thank you, and congratulations on episode 81. That's amazing. You're going to be hitting
I
the
know.
three
And
figures before you know it.
I ask how you are. Viewers will find out in a minute. She's a busy, busy, busy woman, but we were giving more details of that in a little while. But firstly, our episode. Now, we talk a lot about self-care, which is great, but self-care is really the doing bit. And then there's the being bit, which we all too easily overlook. That is self-kindness, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm all for self-care and sort of the doing piece. But for me, when I think about self-care, Kate, that's where we sort of tend to step into that when we're perhaps feeling a bit off. So, for example, I think I'd said it, in the audio talk about if you're feeling a bit under the weather, you might get an early night and, have a hot lemon and honey or something like that. Whereas actually self-kindness is, yes, that would be a form of self-kindness as well, but actually it's more about weaving things into your day-to-day life, not just when things are, beginning to go south. So yes, I talk about sort of the being side of self-kindness as well as the doing, and that's very much around how we I guess how we treat ourselves, internally, whether it's from, our mind talk, whether it's from really tuning into our emotions and sort of letting ourselves feel what we're feeling, including all of you know, all of the sides of emotion that maybe are not the nice ones. Um, and also thinking about ourselves in terms of what we really want, what success looks like on our terms versus just getting through, oh, it's another day, yeah,
Yeah.
tick through another week,
Yeah.
another,
That
oh,
roller
another year's
coaster
gone.
of juggling and
um
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think midlife really is a time. I mean, we talk a lot about, the kind of reassessing and actually taking that pause and thinking, what do I want now? What am I all about now? And self-kindness really does come into that because so often I know the women that I work with and obviously that you work with as well, there's a lot of do I dare? Am I good enough? Dare? What will people say? And we almost preempt that criticism by going, oh no, I couldn't do that, or no, I'm not good enough to do that, or don't we? We hold ourselves back. And self-kindness is really something that comes into the fore now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you say, particularly in midlife, we can be used to working in, operating in a certain way that, initially is shaped by how we've grown up, how our significant adults, whether that's parents or carers or teachers, managers, all of those sorts of things have, I guess, you know shown us, and we then sort of adopt some things. We then have our own approaches and become a bit clear in our own values, but then you know there's whether it's through becoming a parent or whether it's you become a carer for someone, or elderly parents, we can quite quickly lose sight of ourselves, and yeah, it's very easy to not show ourselves kindness. And actually I talk about how it's not that I don't think there's anyone out there, or maybe there are some, but would say I'm yet to find someone that says, oh no, I don't believe in self-kindness, I don't want to be
Mm.
kind to myself. But it's more that we've almost over time, like self unkindness has
Yeah,
become the norm.
yeah.
And
Beating
I know we
ourselves
talk,
up, basically, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah,
share
yeah.
we share lots of golden nuggets and examples, and you beautifully share your story as well. But it can be the simplest things that we can say, oh, for goodness sake, Kate, why didn't you do that? And almost
Yeah.
not angry with ourselves, but we talk to ourselves in a really way. I mean, I think, you share your top tips for how to incorporate self-kindness so that it becomes a way of life. It's not just something to do on an ad hoc basis. It really is something to embrace on our day-to-day lives. And silencing our inner critic, mine is Deirdre, yours is
Gertrude.
that is your first step, isn't it? Your first top tip.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think and that was quite a pivotal moment for me actually when
Yeah.
there's a book, it's the author Julie Smith, and she wrote Coach Your Self-Confident. She's got her next one coming out later this year, but she talked about naming your inner critic, and I think it's almost where you see them having a separate persona.
Oh,
It is quite transformational, isn't it, in terms of you can
absolutely. So it's
begin
the
to
first thing
spot,
I
okay,
guide. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And I think as well, it's not initially, I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm going to now try and get rid of Gertrude. And actually, it's no. And but weirdly, it's sort of, I've sort of grown up quite fond of her.
She's only trying to
And it's,
protect us at the end of
well,
the day.
exactly. And you
That's
understand that, but
in a
it's
weird
then you can
way.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
In a
exactly.
suffocating,
Um,
berating way, she's trying to protect us.
Yeah. And of course, if you're having I'm sure Deirdre is the same, on days or, periods in your life where you're feeling a bit, oh, I'm not doing very well, or, feeling down on yourself, then they become louder and it's
Oh, yeah.
easier to try,
No matter how
oh
much
yeah, they're
work we
right.
do on
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, so no, and again, like you mentioned, I think we talk about it as well, that we wouldn't dream of speaking to our best friend, or probably anyone we didn't really like, in the way sometimes that we speak to ourselves. And I read, I'm always one of these that was like, I read somewhere or someone said, I can never remember who it is, but and again, it sounds really obvious, but sometimes you hear something and you're like, oh my goodness, yeah, you won't ever speak to anyone as much as you speak to yourself.
Mm. Whether that be out
So
loud or in
exactly. So,
I have whole conversations with myself, and
oh
that's
yeah.
that's without Deirdre interrupting. That's just Kate talking.
Yeah.
But no, say
So
it,
just
it,
going
it
through
is
what's on the day.
it is I think liberating as well when we realize that this critic isn't us, and that we can nurture her to become what I say, turn a critic into a cheerleader. But it's part of humanity, isn't it?
Yeah.
But another you brilliant. You get your three top tips. Was it micro? I never know, midi and macro. So the
Well,
midi
yes.
tip,
Yeah.
I like this one as well.
So that was, yeah, something that's slightly longer. But yeah, this one was around carving out deliberately time for yourself. Now, it's not for me to say how much or how frequent that should be, because we're all different. But it may, for example, look like booking an hour or a couple of hours out in your diary each week. It might not have to be the same time or day, depending on what's practical for
Mm.
you, but that is purely for you. And the key is then not allowing another meeting to go into it, not allowing, oh, okay, a friend's asked if I'll help out with their kids. Yes, there will be circumstances, but it's treating that as though you would,
Well,
another
you have to
commitment.
make it a non-negotiable with yourself,
Yeah,
don't you? And
yeah,
hold yourself accountable. And I say
absolutely.
it was interesting you said about, it didn't necessarily be the same time of day, because for some people it might work to have it first thing in the morning or
Yeah,
even evening, perhaps,
yeah,
liaising with other half or other responsibilities. And it's finding, because the whole point of this is to make it work for us, isn't it? To make it
yes, yes,
time for
yes,
us. So
yes.
not to let those other little things creep in, because
No,
they do. You think, oh, actually, I'll just do this before I do this.
yes,
No.
yes. And I guess, yeah, that's the other part about it, Kate, didn't we, that we explored it, in that it's not then an hour to be like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
just going to put some laundry away, or I'm just going to, and yes, don't get me wrong. Sometimes there's things that, yeah, if there's been a room or something that's been chaotic, it will make us feel good, fine, once we've sorted it. But actually, whether it's reading a book or whether it's just sitting, or whether it's, watching your guilty pleasure on telly, or writing, or whatever, but just something that is for you, not a, oh, great, I've got an hour that I can,
Mm.
you know,
As you say, it's kind of
batch
a
cook
no
or
guilt
whatever.
attached. This is,
Yeah,
it's needed. It is
yeah,
needed.
absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
that led beautifully into your third top tip, which is bigger picture, isn't it?
Yeah, which is macro. So I talk about, I talk about micro, midi, and macro kindness, and then the doing and being. So you've got sort of six different categories. And so macro, you could have something sort of the doing practical side might be something like arranging a weekend away with friends or something like that. But it could also be a practical it about, I don't know, putting in a flexible work request, for example, so something that's going to shift your boundaries. Um, but the what I find with clients, and probably with myself, and friends, is that the macro being side is the one that typically people find harder, because this is about long-term personal growth. So it may be you know doing that, doing a course that you've wanted to do. I don't know, maybe you wanted to learn how to speak Japanese, or you wanted to do calligraphy, but you've never, had the time, or it's not been important
Yeah.
enough. But it might be actually taking, investing in some therapy. Perhaps there's something that has happened, either recently or from your past, that actually you've sort of, oh, I'm just gonna put the lid back on
It's
that
that
one.
nagging feeling, isn't it?
Um,
Because it's identifying there's something not quite right. And particularly now,
yes,
again, in midlife, often we do
yes,
feel something is just not sitting right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
thankfully, and we both celebrate this in the audio episode, n- life coaching, investing time, because it's as much the time as it is the money, investing
yeah,
that time in ourselves
it
to
is.
actually, we're not saying we're broken and we need fixing. That's not what
No,
it's
no,
all
no, no,
about.
no.
It's about enriching, it's about adding life to our years, as I say, and making sure we are in the best shape, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, and
Yeah,
being kind to ourselves, isn't it,
yeah,
going forward?
yeah, exactly. So as you say, coaching and is another, really great example of that. And I think sometimes um the when I have sort of the first session or two with someone, they'll, sort of afterwards or towards the end of the session be like, oh my goodness, like I've said things out loud that I didn't even know I
Yeah.
thought, or like I've never thought. Because when do we have almost the, sounds cheesy, the sort of gift of
Yeah,
space,
it is so true.
time, no one, there's no one else's agenda, nowhere else we need to be. Um, so yes, so that micro being, I, yeah, really encourage people to, again, it's not something that may immediately spring to mind what that is, but actually just taking some time to think about what that might be for, for you is worthwhile.
I love that. And I've got a really good segue coming up because talking of time, well, obviously, all your contact details are in the show notes for the episode, and you've got your guest profile on the podcast. But you are giving back. You are giving back 24 hours of your time to mark Mental Health Awareness Week. So, drum roll, please. Viewers, here are all the details of what Kim is up to.
So yeah, I'm very excited. So the 11th and 12th of May, so the start of Mental Health Awareness Week, I am streaming live for 24 hours for Mind, mental health. So there's a couple of things that are important to, I guess, call out first off. And the first is that I am not doing it 24 hours in one sitting, because if we're talking about mental health, then promoting staying up for that, is we know soap is important. And secondly, that would be rather contradictory to a brand built on self-kindness. So what I am doing is 18 and 6. So I run from 6 a.m. till midnight on Monday the 11th, and 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. on Tuesday the 12th. Now, I quite like talking. So could probably fill 24 hours, but that would be quite boring. So I am being joined by a wealth of different speakers, from authors to podcasters to people sharing their own sort of personal life stories. I've got parenting experts. I've got, yeah, all sorts of awesome people coming in, giving their time. And we're exploring, it's all around sort of self-kindness, but there's sort of two angles that we're looking at. That the first is around um, self-kindness and how we can do that and weave it into our lives in a way that isn't bubble baths.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And there's more on that in the full episode, isn't there, Kate? And then the second is around self-kindness as a real core foundation everywhere, within leadership in the workplace. So I talk about kindness isn't soft, and actually how it can drive performance ultimately. So yes, so that's coming up in 6 more sleeps.
Wowza, wowza, wowza. Right. As I say, all your contact details are in the show notes for our episode and on your guest profile on the podcast website. But can you talk viewers through how they can connect with you, where they can find the links for your
Yes.
24 hours?
Yes. So on socials, so Instagram, kindness for success, kindness dot for FOR dot success, Kim Stokes on LinkedIn, and then my website, if you go to, and again that's super easy, it's just kindness for success, all one word, .co.uk. I've got there's a landing spot with 24 for kindness that's got details of all the speakers, when they're coming on, how to donate, and where it's been streamed. So I'm using a platform called StreamYard. So it will be live on YouTube, it will be live on LinkedIn. At some points in the day, it will be on Instagram. But what I'm super excited about as well is that all of this, I guess, rich sort of experience and expertise from all of these speakers isn't sort of oh, it happened and you didn't join and it's gone. It's being recorded,
Oh,
and
super.
then downloaded and edited, so people will be able to access it afterwards.
And
So
it's lovely to be able to
yeah.
recap as well, because sometimes when you're listening to something live, you're like, oh, I meant to make a note of that.
Yeah,
So
or
to
I wanted to make, yeah, yeah,
yeah, so to actually be
yeah,
able to come back and re-enjoy it and re-listen. Oh, I'm
yes,
so excited. I'm so excited.
yes.
And viewers, come and connect with me. I'd love a review. I'd love your feedback. You can connect with me via the show notes and on the Midlife Unlimited podcast website, where you'll also find details of how you can work with me one-to-one, or doors are open for more. MORE, my all-in-one coaching program, award-winning coaching program. I always forget that bit. So, Kim, it's been fabulous. Thank you so much. It's lovely to catch up. I will with you at every minute of your 24 hours, and I look forward to tuning in. Um, New episode of Midlife Unlimited, audio episode every Thursday, so don't miss out on that. Obviously, YouTube, my channel is jam-packed now with video podcasts as well, and my slightly shorter version of the full-length audio. So come and have a listen, come and have a view, come and subscribe. Thank you for joining me. Here's to being
Thank you for
fabulous
having
and
me.
flourishing together, and to living Midlife Unlimited. Thanks ever so much, Kim. Bye.